out, of course, talking.
Sorry, Sheila, I had to get that on there.
No, that's okay. Got it. I'm just going to get that off the screen. I thought I'd start off talking a little bit about the club in general and then talk about our activities. So I had asked around to a number of our long-term members how the East Ferris Golden Age Club started, and nobody seemed to have a definite story. What I gather was it started out as a friendship club with a number of couples in the East Ferris community. And in conjunction with the municipality, they got to use, municipal facilities. And from there, it continued to grow until they formed into a Golden Age Club. And I'm not even sure how long ago that was. Nobody seemed to really know. So it was quite informal. I joined the club in 2018, mainly because I was dancing with Maureen, and in North Bay, they don't dance in the summer, and in Corbeil they were. So I joined there to do the line dancing. And then after a few short months, I was asked if I would be the secretary of the club, not actually realizing what being the secretary of a club entails. So currently we have a board of directors. We have 13 people on the board of directors, lucky number 13. And we are governed by bylaws. And we have policies and procedures in place that we follow. And we're very much a democracy. Lynn Way White, as the president of the club, is an amazing president. She's very engaged in the community. And she just gives great direction, and she works really hard for the club. In fact, we have a lot of people that work very hard for the club. We currently have over 600 members. Last count, it was 628. We accept members from anywhere. We have one member that's up in Tomica. She comes down once in a while to line dance. She was a former dance teacher, so when she comes down, it's easy for her to pick it up. We have a lot of members from North Bay, Callander, Powassan, and we really believe in cooperation, not competition. We're not competing with other clubs. We certainly recommend that people also participate in other clubs. For someone to go and dance with Maureen Bruce-Payne, rather than, or as well as myself, has a lot of benefits, especially for a new dancer. Line dancing in Powassan, yoga in Callander. So we really do try to network with other clubs and recommend and support that people participate. And we like to share, like we have a Facebook group for line dancing, and anybody in the area can join it. They don't have to be one of our line dancers. And we share those dances freely. We have 2 dancers with our club that also dance in Powassan, and if I'm teaching a beginner one that they want to do in Powassan, then they take a copy of my notes and off they go and they teach it in Powassan. So for us, it really is about being a community, which I think really helps. Harriet?
Making a cheer.
Oh,
I love it.
Yeah.
I just love it.
So I thought I might explain what some of our activities are. So of course, line dancing, which I'm really involved in. And we just started cardio drumming on Mondays, which is a brand new activity for us. And, it's great upper body exercise. And the beautiful thing about cardio drumming is that it doesn't require a lot of mobility, and it actually doesn't require a lot of upper body strength, because the ball can be adjusted to the height that's comfortable for the user. We have a number of people in the class that use mobility assisted devices, so they can sit. we have some that are very active that run around the ball while they're banging away at it. So it's a new activity that we've been encouraging because it does reach out to a large number of people in our community, and it's fun and it's to music. Pickleball is hugely popular with our club. They do play pickleball down in Astorville at the school. Ukulele, we have 2 ukulele groups. We have one that meets in Astorville and is mostly French. And we have one that meets in Corbeil that is mostly English. I'm just going to get my little notes here. We have a technology class or technology club that meets once a month. Just looking to see what else we have, making this funny noise with my voice. We have a foot clinic. We subsidize, so the member pays a small fee and then we subsidize the difference. And someone can come and have their feet cared for every 2 months. We also have a wellness clinic once a month, and there is no fee for it. You can come in. We have hired nurse that does blood pressure, sugar levels, listens to someone's heart, among other things. In fact, at the first wellness clinic, she actually saved someone's life. They came in and she immediately recommended that they immediately go to the hospital, and by doing so, it actually saved their life. So there's a lot of value. We have about 15 people who regularly come to the wellness clinic because, as you know, it's long wait at hospitals and, waiting for doctors. So being able to provide this to the community is something we feel it was very important. We have book club. And we have one book club that's actually full. They call themselves the Village Readers. And Vicki Pullum is in the process of starting a second book club. They were supposed to meet, I believe, last Wednesday. I haven't heard how it went, but I'm interested to hear. And that's in conjunction with the East Ferris Library. They actually provide the books to us. So trying to think what else we do. We have once a month we have games and social for those that like to play cards, mahjong, other games. We used to have a regular craft group, which over the years tended to get smaller. So now what we do is we tend to focus on one-off craft activities. Just before Christmas, we had a member volunteer to do crafting for making a Christmas gnome or Christmas wreath. And that was very successful. We had over 50 people turn up to participate in that. Chair yoga. We have chair yoga on Wednesday afternoons. And it's quite popular also. And that is also one of those activities that isn't affected by mobility. So someone that does have limited mobility can still come and participate in that.
Who is teaching that, Sheila? I'm just curious.
I'm sorry?
Who is teaching that chair yoga?
Oh, so Brenda, I don't know her last name. So she's an instructor. She's not a member.
Okay.
Yeah. So Vicki Pullum, I believe, is actually the lead for that activity. So yeah. So some of the activities, the lead is also the instructor, as in myself with the line dance. But then we do have activities where we have a member that leads it, but we also have an instructor for the activity. And on Friday afternoons, looks like it's every 2 weeks. So so it looks like, so I'm just reading our February calendar. So it looks like on Friday afternoons, every 2 weeks, we have the book club, alternating which of the two. And then on the opposite Fridays, We have a jam session, which anybody's welcome to come and participate in. We have a piano in the hall, and then the other participants, the other members, bring their guitars and whatever other.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And it's actually quite nice, and it kind of overlaps a little bit with our Friday line dance, which is kind of fun because we're still line dancing at one end of the hall. I call them my master's classes. They're really experienced dancers at the end of the day of the class. So there's usually, about 6 of us. So we're dancing at one end of the hall, and they're setting up, their jam session at the other end. So it's kind of nice. We get to interact with them a bit. So that's a general list of our regular activities. So our membership fee is $10 a year. Our weekly activities are $1 an activity pay go, which means that when you're attending the activity, we ask for a contribution of $1. One of the things that's important for us is to keep seniors active. So the $1 for the activity is only when you're attending and is a contribution. And we emphasize that it's a contribution because there are people in our community that are really struggling to make ends meet, especially with the cost of food right now. So if someone wants to be able to attend these activities, and it can add up. If you attend 5 activities in a week, that's $5. If that makes a dent in someone's budget, then they do not have to contribute. It's not about the contribution. The contribution offsets the cost of the activities. But what's most important for us is that seniors be active. So if someone can't afford that $5, for 5 activities, they can come to those activities anyway. We don't have a checklist, or we don't check to see who's contributed. That's not important. We have a contribution jar. People throw money in any way they please. And the important thing is that people come out and participate.
Wow.
So I always ask people that if they're, know somebody they think could benefit from our club, to make sure and pass that on. And, if somebody's in a really strapped way, I'm sure we'd waive the $10 fee as well, the membership fee, because as I said, what's important is to keep seniors active. The other activities, and I forgot to mention, we have lunch and learns. So we have lunch and learns once a month, and they're organized by May Seguin, and they are on a huge variety of topics. I did them for the first year, I think that we had them, and we had the Bird Association, I can't remember what they're called now, come out and speak to us about birds in the community. And we had the Conservation Authority come out and talk to us about restoring the shore, which is something that I live on Trout Lake, and it's something that we had done when we purchased the place, is to renaturalize the waterfront. She's had a company that does hearing aids come out and speak, and a company that does inserts for shoes, just a huge variety. We have had a COVID clinic, and we've had a flu shot clinic. So we try to get that balance of activities that are just fun and those that really benefit the health of our members. So one of the things that I try to emphasize in the activities is really working our minds. And I know this is something I mentioned to you a little bit, Harriet, is that it's important to have fun with an activity. Even with line dancing, a lot of the dances, we've been doing them for years, so everybody knows them by rote, and they're really fun, and it's good cardio exercise. But it's also really important for seniors, as we're getting older, to really work our minds. You really need to build brain, and the way to do that is to learn something new. And the best new things they say to learn are a dance, a musical instrument, or a new language. Because what happens is when you're learning something new, mind starts to struggle a bit. And when you get to that point where you think, oh, I can't do this, it's so hard, it's so difficult, oh, I really want to quit, that's the point at which your brain is going to start building new brain. So I always try to emphasize to everybody to push through that, because that is where we offset, loss of cognitive ability and start to develop cognitive ability. So it's important to go to activities that aren't always easy for you, that require that bit of struggle. Once you push through that, then your brain builds new synaptic pathways, and that new activity or that new process, that new thing becomes easier. So this is something that we do try to emphasize with our activities, is that, to learn new things.
I'd like to add to that list, and I'm thinking the one thing, although I haven't been able to attend, but I think attending a book club and sharing ideas and learning how other people's perception or perspective is part of cognitive growth as well. It's lovely. So, but man, this is really good, really good.
And that is so well said, Harriet, because I always find that as we get older, it does become more difficult to accept new ideas, because new ideas do create that uncomfortable feeling in your brain. And if you can relax and set aside preconceived ideas and just allow it to flow into you, then you can start to think about things in a new way.
It's like there's an old expression, where you are right now was once unknown territory, so
Yeah,
opening yourself
exactly.
to new idea is really important. Okay, we got a question here. Are you ready for this?
I am.
Okay, may I ask a question regarding the dancing? Line dancing, you sure can.
Yes.
Go ahead, Patty.
Hi. Okay, so I love watching people line dance, and years ago, my husband and I took ballroom dancing, which we were horrible at, but we really enjoyed it. And I still just don't seem to have that real coordination for the line dancing. I don't know why, but I would love to try it, and I'd like to come out. So at what level, do you teach? I think I'd be a little inhibited if I got there and everybody was, so good at it. And here I am really just taking baby steps.
So both our line dance classes, we have one on Wednesday and one on Friday. We have a lot of people that attend both classes. We have a lot of dancers who've been dancing for years, but we have a lot of new dancers. We have a couple of ladies right now that are brand new. So what we do is we start out with what I call a warm-up, a very easy dance, an ultra beginner, such as the Lindy Shuffle or the Cowboy Charleston. I try to keep it, or Lucky Tonight. Try to keep the warm-up a very simple dance. And then we do about a half an hour of beginner dances. Then we begin a little bit more difficult, still beginner, but moving into improver. We have our break, continue with the improver. And then for the third half hour, we do more challenging dances. So improver into intermediate. And then for the last half hour, we do intermediate and advanced. So we try to flow through them. It's not always exactly that way. One of the things that I emphasize for beginners, and I think this is the same for any activity, particularly for line dance, is you have to go home and practice. So what happens is when you're learning line dance, you have to learn the steps. For example, a jazz box, or what a shuffle is, or a Lindy. So you have to learn the steps, and then you also have to learn the pattern to the individual dance. I can teach you the step, I can teach you the pattern, but I can't learn the step for you. I can't learn the pattern for you. So what you have to do is go home and practice the steps. not the pattern to the dance. You don't have to go home and learn the dance, but you have to practice the step. So if you're brand new, you need to go home and just, while you're cleaning the house or you're on something like this, you have to get your feet to do, say, a jazz box. Just keep doing the jazz box, until your brain learns it and really knows it by rote. Because if you're trying to learn a pattern while you're trying to learn the steps, which are little pieces, it's way too much for a new dance brain to learn. So, and I think that's the same for anything, right? Anything that you're learning, you have to go home and practice. If you're learning a new instrument, if you're learning a new language, if you're learning any new activity, you have to be prepared to go home and practice it. And not the whole thing, but those little pieces that make the difference. Does that
I think that's where I fall on my face, literally, is that I get home and then I get mixed up on the movements. I'm like, okay, how did we do this? Or how did we do that? So is there a way to have some sort of a video or something that we could follow? So when we are practicing at home, we could not be practicing the wrong steps or forgetting how to do it, because that's where my difficulty comes in. I seem to be able to do it okay when I'm there. Then I come home, a couple of days go by or something, and I can't remember I can't remember the steps anymore.
So what I tell the beginners is that just to go and just learn one step. So the most basic of steps is a shuffle. So I say, just go home and shuffle. And I show them how to do that. We also, Lynn and I also did some videos of me doing some basic steps. We have a line dance group called Action 50 Plus Line Dancers. The link is on our Facebook page because it is attached to our Facebook page. So as long as you're on Facebook, you can access the line dance group. And we post all our dances on there. You can search the dances on there by name. And as I said, also videos of myself doing some of the basic steps. And I do also post videos off of YouTube of the basic steps. And with beginners, I will show them, okay, this is the jazz box, cross, step, 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 go home and just do that. Cross, step, 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 and just do it over and over and over again. Just baby steps, one little baby step at a time. That's basically how I learned to dance way back with Latin American and ballroom, was just, shuffling around the house for hours at a time. When I'm doing dishes, when I'm learning a new dance, to teach a new dance, and I'm struggling with a complicated pattern or piece of pattern, I'll be standing there doing dishes and I'm just saying it in my head and moving my feet around to that basic part of the pattern. So it's just little pieces at a time. If you try to go home and do it all, then you do struggle with it. You just need to do one small piece. And
that's been very helpful. I appreciate that. And any links that you can send to us, maybe via Harriet, I would appreciate that, because that is one point I think I'm going to try the line dancing. So thank you very much.
Oh yeah, I would love to see it come out. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I see Bonnie Bolgers has her hand raised. Bonnie, can you just hold for a second? I'm just going to share my screen so I can show everybody where this is. There we go. It says Club Action 50 Plus. If you put that in your search on Facebook, it's going to come up for you with
and I believe, Harriet, at the bottom of the email that I sent you where my signature is, I think that the link,
put it in there.
I think the link to the line dancers is there also, isn't it?
Okay, I'll have a look. And if that is, I will forward it on to the group.
Yeah, if not, I will definitely send that to you. I'll also send you the Glue Book link. And I think we have a tech club link, a ukulele club link. So we find that the Facebook groups really, really handy for being able to communicate to the whole group.
That's wonderful. I might be converting over to that myself soon. Okay, Bonnie, go ahead.
I was just wondering how the township supports you because it's, you know, you have to have insurance. You seem to have a free place to use all the time. So is your townships really supportive of that and letting you use the space for free?
So I gotta say, I love East Ferris. I love the community and absolutely love the municipality government. They're very supportive of the club. In fact, the mayor is a member of the club and her husband, Rob Roy, is on our board of directors, Ron Roy. So we have a Rob Roy and a Ron Roy. So what happens is, because the club was kind of originally set up with support from the municipality. Municipalities receive funding, all municipalities receive funding for senior activities. Part of the funding that they get from the province includes keeping seniors active. In our case, rather than the municipality needing to do that work on behalf of the seniors, they get the funding. We apply for the funding. They get the funding. They hold a portion of that funding back as our contribution to the hall. So in essence, we do pay for use of the hall. So they keep a portion of that funding back for our contribution to the hall. We receive the rest of the funding, which we use for activities, fees, and we purchase our own insurance. So the insurance covers the board of directors and it covers all of our volunteers. We don't have any staff, we're all volunteers. The whole club is run with volunteers. And they're all covered on the insurance, which is something for me that was really important, like to take line dancing anywhere else, unless I had my own insurance, which is quite costly, or I was covered by, insurance elsewhere, then, it does become difficult.
I can relate to that, Sheila. I can relate.
Yeah.
Insurance is very expensive and I have to have an insurance.
Yeah, like it's a huge expense. So so we have our own insurance and our funding. And then just whatever we get from contributions. And we are actually fortunate in that way. Like the Golden Age Club in North Bay have much higher costs that they have to cover, which is reflected in their membership fee and in the cost of their activities. It's just more expensive for them because of the hall. So I say go out and, if you can, go out and support, the Golden Age Club in North Bay, support us, support all of the clubs that you reasonably can, because, it makes it all this effort worthwhile.
Yeah. Well, you have a community hub, which is fantastic for older adults. And I think that's what the village is trying to do too, to create a community hub. But we definitely need more community hubs just because of transportation, and because not everybody can get to East Ferris, so to speak, unless that might be a problem. I don't know if you have something that helps.
So transportation is, especially for people who don't drive, is a huge issue in East Ferris. There is no public transportation. It is actually one of the things we're looking at right now, that we are willing to provide transportation for seniors where it's needed so that they can get to activities and socialize, because if you're too isolated, and for those in East Ferris, because it's a rural community, someone that's a shut-in can be very isolated. So that's part of what we use our funding money for now, is to provide transportation to those that do really need it, not just in general to everybody, because lots of us still drive and that, but where it's needed. So if someone is a shut-in and would really like to get out and participate, then they should contact Lynn or Terry Way White, and they'll arrange that in, you know, in a private way as well, right? So privacy is an important thing for us. I know that you had asked for photos, Harriet, and one of our concerns is that if we post too many pictures, we could catch someone unawares that may not want to have their picture posted. So we
Gotcha.
generally tend not to do that. We do have signs up in the hall saying that if anyone has a problem with their picture being taken, they should let us know so that we
Yeah,
can, you know, keep them out of the pictures. But we do tend not to post. We have lots of pictures, but we tend not to post them.
Do you post them on Facebook at all, Sheila?
Yeah, no. You know, Facebook, you never know when they can pull a picture and use it elsewhere. I don't like
That's true.
to have
You
my,
can't pull
I don't
them.
like to have my phone number on Facebook.
No.
You know, it's my cell phone. I don't mind giving someone my phone number. If anybody, you know, wants to call me, I way prefer a call to text, by the way.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to call me, they could just let me know, just email me, let me know. And I'm happy to share my phone number. I just don't want it out there on Facebook. So, you know, you end up getting some weirdo gets a hold of it. Oh, I think I have someone has a question there, Debbie.
Okay, go ahead, Debbie.
Hi, Sheila. So I am assuming that the hall that you do like line dancing, etc., in is behind the municipal office.
Yes, that's right. So 90% of our activities are at the Corbeil Park Hall on Highway 94. When you're going south, it's just you just go past Lucky 13, go over the railroad tracks, and then you turn right at the next driveway. That is now the old municipal hall. It is the new fire hall. The municipal offices have moved over onto, I think it's Corbeil Road.
Oh, I didn't know that.
In front of the old school there. Yeah, it just moved at the beginning of the month. So yeah, so when you turn right, you go past what is now the old municipal building, go straight to the back of the parking lot. There's a gray building, a low gray building there, and that's the Corbeil Park Hall.
And so the other part of my question was, do you also work in conjunction with the Four Seasons Center, which is up the road?
So we don't. We do have a current board member that is a member of both the Four Seasons Club and our club. However, sometimes when they have an activity, we have a big bulletin board in the hall that shows all our activities, and then at one end there is posts from community neighbors from other clubs. And sometimes we post activities of what's going on at the Four Seasons Club. And I'm sure we probably have other members that I'm not aware of that are members of both. We do the occasional activity in Astorville. As I said, the mostly French ukulele and the pickleball are in Astorville. We also do our Christmas dance. We do a Christmas dinner dance, and we had Roadhouse this year, and apparently they've booked Roadhouse for next year, and it was really popular. We had, I think it was 180 people that came to the Christmas dance. Yeah, apparently we have to reduce the number next year because it was a lot to manage. I actually didn't attend this year because I hurt my knee, if you can believe it, right before the dance. And so I declined to go because I would have danced with a hurt knee and probably hurt it worse. But
Line dancing?
Actually, no, my husband still works full time, if you can believe that. So I went to his company dance and just did some freestyle dancing in heels, and lesson learned, I can't do that anymore. So yeah, I know, Debbie. and that's really hard because I love to dance. So, and we are the home of the senior games, and the senior games are done down at the community center in Astorville, and I've never been to them. Apparently they're very popular. So yeah, so we do some down in Astorville.
Wow.
So did anybody else have any questions about anything? We have a newsletter, which I can send you a copy of the newsletter if you're interested, Harriet.
Sure, I
Did
can
you
always
know-
forward that on.
Did you know that we were the test group for the village?
Well, did you know we were the test group for the village?
Yeah, so so we were both the
I'll
test
add that on. We were both.
Test
That's why
groups for the
everything you're
village.
saying really resonates with me because, yeah, I do. I do because they are doing a lot of that, and that's why I refer to them as a community hub. There's more than one, you know, and
Yeah.
there should be more than one physically. That's the issue. There should be more than one. In North Bay, there could be 5. I
I
would say.
think for clubs to be centralized somehow as well, like loosely
Yeah.
centralized, I think this is good because you get a chance to hear about all the different clubs. I was actually, it wasn't until Lynn mentioned your group that I became aware of it. So I've actually been on the, Facebook or on the internet and had a look at your page there. So
Thanks. Well, when COVID hit, we went online and outdoors. And in that process, we lost our location.
oh,
So right now we're transitioning to the village twice a week. So, and they are, yeah, go ahead, Pauline. I'll leave that so you can get that question in. Go ahead.
Just taking the mute off. Thank you very much for sharing the information regarding your community. You were commenting about the initial beginning of this. My mother and father were very much a part of the beginning of this community group. And my mom was secretary on the executive for years. And I remember my father volunteering to be part of the foot clinic. And my mother chuckled and said, you volunteered? You got it. Well, it wasn't long after he had started, she knew he wouldn't be organized enough to do the scheduling. So she inherited that for years and years and years. But I'm glad to see that you were able to keep the costs down and you've grown a great deal since the beginning of that. So congratulations.
If you don't mind me asking, who are your parents?
John and Esther Girton.
John and Esther Girton.
Yeah, they lived in Astorville on Lake Nosbonsing, and they were part of this was many years ago. So yeah, so glad to see it's still going and it has grown a great deal.
Well, I'll tell you, Pauline, I am so grateful that we moved to East Ferris. I can't tell you how much I love the community, how welcoming and how nice everybody is.
Yeah.
It is just really nice. And like I said, the municipality itself, right, is
very
just
supportive.
Yeah.
And I was just saying, my mom passed away last year, and we received the last of her newsletter. So it always, was great. So
actually, when I think about it, I remember at our board meeting, we address members that have recently passed away. And I do remember your mom being addressed at the board meeting. So
yeah. Anyway, best of luck to you.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Debbie.
I'm thinking of going with Patty to the line dancing. So what are the times of the line dancing?
So Wednesday mornings at 9:30 to 11:30, and then Fridays 10:45 to 12:30. You're probably not going to want to stay for the whole thing because it does get more and more difficult. The one thing I want to mention is that Patty had said about feeling uncomfortable that though there were so many experienced people around. We all have been there. We've all been, a deer in headlights at line dancing. That's, you're starting a new activity. Everybody loves seeing somebody new come in and dance, and everybody wants to help, which can sometimes be a little bit overwhelming. Don't be intimidated. Nobody expects you to know what you're doing. It's a new activity for you. It's about just have fun. It's about having fun, learning something new, struggling with it, and just having fun. And a lot of the new dancers like to hide in the back, and what we like to point out is that when we turn around in the dance, they're actually now at the front. So
That's right.
we try to get the new dancers in the middle, mainly behind me, so that they can see what they're doing. And most of the experienced dancers tend to stand around the outside, the perimeter, so that whichever direction we're facing, there's someone who knows what they're doing. So
It sounds like Tai Chi, same thing.
yeah, right. It is. It's the same thing. So
This
I
has
think,
been really, I am smiling through this whole thing because your service to community, and it's all volunteer, is pretty amazing. And that kind of support from your municipality is hugely important. And we need that here. We need that here. If you really, really want to build a culture of inclusion for aging people, we need to have community hubs in our city. So
and I think it's really important for seniors to get out and volunteer, which in itself is an intimidating thing. You think, oh, I don't have anything of value. Oh, I don't have the time. I was like, oh, I don't have the time to do this, but you really do, because you sort of blend it into your daily routine. Well, you know that, Harriet, because you're such an active volunteer as well, right? So
yeah, well, we'll talk about that sometime.
Yeah, but it's just something that you incorporate in, and clubs are crying out for volunteers. Acquiring volunteers is so important. I used to be in HR. I have what they call a persuasive sales personality. I used to do psychometric evaluation on our employees, and that's what the psychometric said that I was, which I think is a real asset, is that I'm good at communicating, the need for things, and I'm actually good at recruiting volunteers. So gonna work on all of you. I think Debbie has a question there.
Sure, Debbie, go ahead.
Yeah, I do. Thanks. I'm thinking about a senior in particular who moved to North Bay in the middle of the pandemic and is feeling kind of lost. And her favorite thing to do is to play cards. And I heard you mention that you have cards.
Once a month, we have social and games. It used to be every week, but what we found over the pandemic was there was a shift in that we have less seniors coming out, a lot due to the pandemic, and just, things have changed. So we have less of a group that do social and games. The seniors that we find are coming out now are more interested in physical activity, walking, line dancing, cardio drumming, pickleball. So we've kind of reoriented ourselves to doing more of the physical activity. But we do still have social and games once a month. And I'm looking at the February calendar. It's from 2 to 4 p.m. on the 15th of February.
Okay, thanks. I plan on speaking to her and encouraging her to, check it out. I'm sure that there'd be other things that would appeal to her if she would just try them. So thanks for that.
There's a couple of things that I'd like to mention that I haven't mentioned yet. I'd like to talk about the glue book activity.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So as you can see behind me, I'm in my craft room. I like to craft. I'm not, I'm not a great artist. I like to just, I like working with paper. I find it fun and relaxing. And I do junk journaling, which is kind of like scrapbooking, except you use more junk. Use packaging and magazines and book pages and things like that, and you just kind of create things that you put in, it's like an art book, and you make notes in it, you can add photographs, it can be a memory book, it can be whatever you choose it to be. And one type of junk journal is a glue book. And a glue book is, you can take any book, it can be literally any book. It doesn't have to have blank pages. My husband gave me this, which, as you can see, is actually perfect for a glue book. It's great because it lays flat, so it makes it really easy for gluing things in. But you can use anything. You could use something like this. This is an old calendar book that didn't get used. You can use a novel. You can use any book you want. The two requirements I would say are important is try to choose a book where the pages aren't too thin, because you're going to be gluing things in. So you don't want tissue paper thin pages. And it helps if you can open up the book so that it lays fairly flat, because it's a lot easier to work if you're not having to kind of, use your elbow to keep the book open. But you can use any book. And then what we plan to do is once a month, share a theme with the members of the glue book activity. So we plan to start in April, and our first theme is going to be, of course, Easter. So the idea is to gather media, pictures from magazines, pictures out of books, personal doodling, drawing from grandkids. You can cut shapes and create a collage or a picture that expresses what Easter means to you. It could be a general picture of a garden with eggs being hidden. It could just be a collage of different items for Easter. It could be a page full of Easter bonnets that you've cut out or created and glued in. So you can use pretty well any media. You can use buttons and thread, old photographs, pictures out of old children's books, like I said, magazines, packaging, anything that strikes your fancy, and you glue them in to create the theme. And then every month we will post a different theme. We won't be meeting as a group. We can meet as a group if people want to, but we won't be meeting as a group. The idea is that everybody that participates in a glue book can work independently at their own pace. Just because we post a theme one month, if someone wants to do that theme 3 months later, they can. It doesn't matter. It's something you can take with you. The only basic items that you need are glue, scissors, a book, and some media, which, like, for example, if you go to Florida, you could just, acquire media while you're down there from a thrift store. So the idea of the glue book group is to be able to reach out to all of our members, particularly shut-ins, particularly those that don't get out much, and be able to participate in a group activity while still working independently. We can share ideas. We've started a Facebook page, which I haven't, our Facebook group, which I haven't actually added anything. I'll be adding some links to glue books so that people can see them, and a description. And I'll be posting the first theme, which will be, as I said, Easter in April. I encourage people to participate in this kind of activity, because what I found is that over the years, when you're working and you've got kids and life is hectic, creativity often, and I found it did with me, falls to the wayside. And creativity is actually part of the brain that builds new brain. So when we lose our activity, we feel that we're not creative anymore, but we are. It's just that part of our brain has actually gotten a bit stagnant, and we need to reactivate it. So this is an activity where you can be creative. There's no pressure. There's no time pressure. There's no pressure. There's no competition. It's just all about each individual being creative. So that's essentially what the glue book activity is. Does anybody have any questions about it?
How do you join now? How could they join?
You can just join. As I said, we'll be posting the theme once a month. So what I want to do is post it in the Facebook group, as well as post it on our Facebook page. And you don't have to be a member, or sorry, you don't have to be a member on Facebook. You don't have to be on Facebook to be able to access our Facebook page. You can just search it and it'll come up and you can see it without actually being active on Facebook. So we'll post the theme. If you're in our Facebook group, we'll post a theme. The next month, when we post the next theme, people can start posting their glue book pictures in the Facebook group. I want to wait until the end of the month, each month, because what I don't want is somebody to be intimidated because we have an artist in the group, for example, that posts this amazing picture, and now they're intimidated to do their own glue book page. So the idea is we'll post at the beginning of April, we'll post our theme is Easter. At the end of April, beginning of May, we'll post May's theme. And then during May, everybody can post their April pictures if they choose. Nobody is obligated to post anything. When we have our spring or fall AGM, I'm going to ask people to bring their glue books in. They don't have to identify it's their glue book, but just bring them in and share them so that other members can enjoy the creativity. So if you want to do a glue book, you don't actually even have to be a member of the club. You can just go and see what it is. And if you choose that you want to get together with a group of your friends or and work on your glue books together, you can certainly do that. If I find that there's a lot of members that would like to get together, then maybe once in a while we'll have a glue book day where people can come if they choose and work on glue books. I am going to start trying to acquire magazines in particular and old books, especially like children's picture books, other books that have pictures. So if anybody has any they can donate, that would be great. I'm going to put them in a container in the hall so that the glue bookers can go through and help themselves.
Sheila, we have to stop here, but I'm going to reiterate what Patty put in here. You are a wonderful presenter.
Oh, thank you.
Very
Can
inspiring.
I share one more thing just really quickly?
One more.
One thing that's really dear to my heart is I have been doing the OXFAM Stamp Programme for probably 30 years. All it is you just collect postage stamps, old envelopes, you stick them in an envelope, you send them off to OXFAM Stamp Programme in Ottawa, and they use those stamps to fund programs for women and children in third world countries. They sell those stamps and they use that money. All it costs me is the stamps on the envelope to send them off to OXFAM. I encourage everybody to collect stamps. You can give them to me or you can send them off yourself. And Harriet, I can provide you with the OXFAM address.
Okay.
And they usually send me a list, so I can send you the list of all the activities that they support. They do wonderful work with old postage stamps. So I just really wanted to share that out there.
Great. I'll look forward to that email and I'll forward it on to the group.
And thank you very much for having me today.
Oh, I'm glad to see Sue Campbell on because I know she's a crafter and she would be very, very happy to see, to hear what you're doing. I know. And so Debbie Brosco does some of that work. Hey, Deb, I've been a recipient of her creativity, which is just awesome. I get to look at it every day. So,
oh, well, maybe you'd like to join the glue book, Sue.
Maybe.
Having some experienced crafters would definitely help. You know, because the more the merrier, right? The more we can share, then the more we can encourage.
Okay, I'm going to stop recording right